Till the child is there, the child is growing. The child will eventually.
Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Jashodanandana Jaya Braja Janaranjana Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Gopi Janavallabha Girivardhari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Girivaradhari Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjana Jashodanandana Braja Janaranjanam Jamuna Tira Banachari Jamuna Tira Banachari Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare. Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Prabhupada. Gurudev, 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 Jaya Jaya, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya, Gurudev. Gurudev, Gurudev, Jaya Jaya, Gurudev, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol. Nitai Gaur Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitai Gaur Hari Bol. Jai Sri Sri Gaur Guru Gauranga Radha Radha Kanta Nitai Gaur Jagannath Baldev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai. New Orleans Bhakta Binda ki Jai. Samarata Vaishnava Binda ki Jai. Nitai Gaur Brahmanande Hari Hari Bol. Wednesday Bhagavad Gita class Bhakta Binda ki Jai. Gaur Brahmanande Hari Hari. So today we are beginning chapter 5, and I posted the questions from the text 23. So we have on our iPhone the Srila Prabhupada's Bhagavad Gita. Let's see. It says, Shaknoti. So before that, we are going to invoke the mercy of Lord Vasudev, Guru Gauranga, to begin our today's session. Please join together. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namah Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Shaknoti Ivaja Sodham Praka Sarira Vimokshanat Kama Krodha Udbhavam Begam Sajukta Sosukhi Naram. So this is a beautiful verse. If we do one thing, tolerate. Tolerate what? The urges. Then you can be happy now and future and forever. So this is a beautiful verse, Lord Krishna revealing the secret how we can be happy. So Saknati Iva Ja Sodham. Saknati Prabhupada writes, able to do Iha Eva in the presence body, Ja, one who, Sodham, to tolerate, Prako, before, Sarira, body, Vimokshana, giving up, Kama, desire, Krodha, anger, Udbhavam, generated from Begam, urges, urge. Sa he Yukta, in trance, Sa he Sukhi, happy, Nara, human. So Srila Prabhupada's translation and purport. Before giving up this present body, if one is able to tolerate the urges of the material senses and check the force of desire and anger, he is a yogi. He is happy in this world. So who is a yogi and who is happy in this world? This is the verse. That before giving up means up to the last breath of your life. If you are able to tolerate the urges, what urges? The urges of desire, force of desire to enjoy separately from God, or anger towards other or towards something. If you can control, tolerate, control means here tolerate, then you are yogi and you are happy in this world. So purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada. If one wants to make steady progress on the path of self-realization, he must try to control the force forces of the material senses. There are the forces of talk, forces of anger, forces of mind, forces of the stomach, forces of the genital, forces of the tongue. One who is able to control the forces of all these different senses and the mind is called Goswami or Swami. Such Goswami have strictly controlled lives and forego altogether the forces of the senses. So material desire, then unsatiated, generate anger. And thus the mind, says, eyes and chest become agitated. Therefore, one must practice to control them before one gives up this material body. One who can do this, very good, thank you. Do this is understood to be self-realized and is thus happy in the state of self-realization. It is the duty of the transcendentalist to try strenuously. Strenuously means tirelessly, with great effort and determination to control the desire and anger. So with that note, let's begin. Om Jnanati Mirandasya Jnananjana Salakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Sri Guruve Namah Sri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Jena Bhutale Sayam Rupa Kadamayam Dadati Padantikam Vandeham Sri Guru Sri Jutapada Kamalam Sri Gurun Vaishnavanscha Sri Rupam Sagrajatam Sagana Raghunatha Nitam Tam Sajivam Sadaitam Sabhadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Sri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Sri Vishakha Nitanscha Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimate Bhakti Vedanta Samini Tinamine Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunnavadi Paschata Deshotarini Panchakalpa Taruvesha Kripa Sindhu Bhayevacham Patitanam Pavanebho Vaishnavebho Namo Namo Jai Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhara Sivasadi Gaura Bhakta Binda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare Hare. Hare Krishna, dear mother and Prabhus. So we are beginning chapter 5 today. I am in New Orleans, it's a new place. So according to today's question, we're going to address, let's see how Krishna says that we need to learn how to tolerate our urges, at least two urges, the forces of desire and forces of begum, urges. If we can tolerate the urges, tolerance means you have to do voluntarily on your own. It will not happen. Just because you are chanting is not going to happen automatically. You have to tolerate. So, voluntarily you choose to tolerate. Then Krishna says you will be real yogi and you will be happy in this life. So before when, how long you have to tolerate? All the way up to death, up to last moment of giving up this body. So he who is very life can tolerate the urges born. Now question may come, where this urges coming from? Urges coming from lust and anger. Lust and anger, and these are very powerful. And if you can tolerate them, then you will be a yogi and you will be happy person in life. So despite having fallen into the ocean of material existence, the person described in this sloka, yogi, happy to explain this, Bhagavan is speaking this sloka by addressing Shaknoti. If you look at the verse, it says Shaknoti. Very wonderful word. So Arjuna, now Arjuna get a question at this point. Yes, I know. Even if I agree that material enjoyment leads to misery, but still, by knowing this, my desire will not go away. The desire stays. So what should I do? If I tell you all that you give up the desire, are you agree? No. Inside, deep down in your mind, you will say, I hear you, but my desire is still there. I want to enjoy life. So Krishna says that what you should do, learn how to tolerate and why you should tolerate. And if you tolerate, what will happen? Krishna is giving the result. That Shaknoti eva ja sodham. Shaknoti eva jo. Arjun Shaknoti, it is possible. It's not like Krishna is not asking you to do something that is not possible. So Krishna says it is possible. Shaknoti means it is capable. You have a power to tolerate this. So what to tolerate? It is coming from lust and anger. Certain urges has come, tolerate them. Now, how long this will last? Few minutes, 5 minutes, 10 minutes, it will disappear. If you can learn to tolerate 5 minutes, 2 minutes, 1 minute, whenever the temptation comes, tolerate, after a few minutes, it will disappear. That's practically, we do that too. So, how long to tolerate? Praka Sharira Vimokshana. Now, Krishna says this will happen again and again until you give up this body. That means till death. You have to tolerate. it don't let you go. These urges are born from the body. Since they are born from the body, you have to tolerate as long as you have the body. Now, this can be sobering. Also, it can be hope-giving. Sobering means we know that we have struggled as long as we have the body. But as we purify and struggle, becomes more and more manageable. This struggle becomes more and more winnable for us. You try, you may fail. In Bible, it says the difference between evil and saint. The both may fall, but one will get up and keep going towards the goal. That is called saint. Stay fallen is not recommended by anyone, especially Bhagavad Gita does not recommend. He said, okay, you may fall or fail in your life to control your anger, but if you keep on trying, you will eventually come success and you will be happy. So now question is, it is interesting what Sri Krishna is telling over here, that urges will come but tolerate it. Arjuna, you are warrior, you can tolerate on slaughter. You keep fighting in a war even if you are wounded. Anybody saw that? If you are in a war, even if you get wounded, you keep on fighting until the enemy is defeated. So can you tolerate attack of lust and anger and fight back when they are wounded? Sure, you can tolerate. So tolerance is the wall. You know, like in a house, you have a wall. So wall between temptation and transgression. What is transgression? What is temptation? Temptation means I wanted to enjoy some images comes up in our mind. I think of a girl or a boy or ice cream or some sense object. And I can look at it in the iPhone or computer or think about it and maybe develop a desire, strong desire. There was strong desire comes, then the super soul checks. And if you are eligible, it may allow. But if you tolerate, then Maya does not have to produce the result for you. This way, you actually overcoming your lust and anger. So, the tolerance is the wall between temptation and transgression. Temptation means I wanted to enjoy, something came up in our mind, desire come up, we start feeling temptation. Now, all of us will get temptation. But what is the transgression? Transgression means when you act on temptation, we do something wrong. It is not that every time there is a temptation, there is a transgression. No, that is not necessary. The tolerance is the wall. Don't cross the wall. Stay this side. Don't break the wall and go. So when temptation comes, I'll tolerate. Just talk to your own mind and pray to Krishna. Take a shelter of Guru and Krishna. Then you'll see this will go away. It won't be there forever. Come down, stay peace. Don't get excited about it. Shaknoti. Shaknoti means it is possible to tolerate. Krishna would not suggest something that we cannot do. Krishna is suggesting we can tolerate, means we can tolerate. Now, all of us tolerate various things in our life. If we are working with superior, he says something harsh word. If you are a nurse, or if you are, like my friend is a nurse, and he says his boss was being mean, but his job will become tougher if he argues back. So he said, okay, I'll tolerate in his mind. So he tolerated. And the boss later on apologized and says, I owe you, and he got little comfort service instead of. So tolerance has a good effect. It is because it is possible, we can tolerate. Now, all of us, in many things in our life, we tolerate. If we are working with superior, as I said, you tolerate. Now, tolerance is not necessarily weakness. Actually, often it is intolerance that makes us weak. Weak, strong, and weak. Tolerance is actually strength, not a weakness. Tolerance can help us become strong. So we can help us choose the right response to make right response. So tolerance is strength and lack of tolerance is weakness, because it makes us slave to impulses. So Sri Krishna said, tolerate, Shaknuti. Is it possible for you, Arjuna, to a warrior, if a challenge are thrown, he will accept. He will say, yes, I can do it. So that is how we should feel. When temptation comes, we should not think, oh, temptation has come. I have to fail myself. I have to fall down. What can I do if temptation are coming? You're going to open the temple now? Okay, sure. Good. No, the temptation simply indicates that we have become disconnected from Sri Krishna. You have to remember, when temptation comes, it's going to disconnect us from Krishna. So you have to be very careful, vigilance, very vigilance. So when temptation comes, it does not mean that we have to do sense gratification. Jai Shri Shri Radha Radha Kanta ki Jai, Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki Jai, Shri Shri Gaurnitai Bhagavan ki. Maybe you can take the camera and show them the deities. I don't know, they can see, it's very far. It's a beautiful temple here. Hare Krishna. So, okay. So temptation simply indicates that we have become disconnected from Krishna. When temptation comes, it does not mean we have to do sense gratification. In certain countries, like America, the roads are long. Like I drove from Florida to here, New Orleans, Louisiana. It's about 8 hours drive. And driving was okay, but once in a while you can see somebody goes off track. And when they go off track, there is a humps, like, it gives you jerk, off track. So there will be jolt. Then suddenly the person will wake up. Oh, I'm going the wrong way. So what that person should do? Not that person should go and hit the outside and just make the accident. No, he immediately corrects himself and comes back to the proper lane, proper track. So because jolt has come, that doesn't mean the person has to go and meet accident. He will control vehicle. So jolts are warning that is going off track. So as soon as the jolt comes, pull the vehicle back on track. Similar, when the material desires start raising in our mind, that simply means we are going off track. When temptation starts coming in our mind, it starts agitating us. That means our connection with Krishna has become weak at that moment. We are meant to be going straight to Krishna consciousness track, but we are going off track. So when we are straight off track, what we will do? Pull back, come back on track. Not that because temptation has come, so I have to go and fall down. Because jolt has come, so I have to go and hit. No, it is not like that. So at that time, pull back. So rather than see temptation as a cause of capitulation, means giving up, we should see arrival of temptation as cause of retaliation. My mind is off track, and I'll fight and come back on track. It is not safe, fall back on sleeping, but it is happened, so we have to pull back. So the jolt we started feeling inside because of temptation, that is an indication that we are going off track. We are going away from Krishna consciousness track. Now it is time to put more effort, pull back on track. How can we do that? Chant Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. If you remember any sloka, you can recite those sloka and prayers to Sri Krishna. Think of a beautiful dressing of Sri Shri Radha Radha Kanta deities in your house, in your temple. Or if you remember a song, melodious song, Bhajahure mana Sri Nanda Nandanaya Bhaya Charanara Bindare. Something like that. And that will give you, these are like a weapons. You can fight back against the temptation. Then it will protect you and come back to your normalcy without urges. So weapon means by those beat down the temptation. All of us should have ready stock of weapons. Every devotee should memorize some of the songs, bhajans, and of course Hare Krishna Mahamantra, some prayers, some slokas that helpful to us. This will be good. All of us should have ready stock of weapons. So, just like a good example, Chaitanya Charan Prabhu gives, if a firefighter has become expert after many years of service, it is not that fires are going to become weak after seeing him. He may be a good firefighter, but he has become expert by practice. First time when he see big fire, he becomes nervous. Water pipe itself will fall down from his hand. Then someone gives him more courage by cheering him up. As he works, fire starts extinguishing. But for an experienced firefighter, when he sees fire, he knows what to do. Where to put more water, and exactly with the intelligence, with the diligence and the speed, he extinguishes the fire. So it is not that fires will shut off because the firefighter is having experiences. So last is like a fire. So it is not that just I have practiced Krishna consciousness for 5, 10, 15, 20 years. Last of the fire will not set off. So there will be provocation of sense enjoyment. Of course, our provocation will be lesser. But it does not matter whether the provocation is lesser or not. The important thing is we have the means, we have the knowledge to extinguishing it. So rather than lamenting that this fire of lust are coming, we should be more experienced, more seasoned, that when fire is set up, extinguishing them by fire house. What is our firehouse? Our firehouse is remembrance of Krishna. Then firewall will start extinguishing. Fire will start extinguishing. So what we should expect is not that the desire will not come. Actually, the desire will also stop coming, but that will stop coming because we expect them to stop coming. They will stop coming when we repeatedly and insistently say no to them. No, nothing doing, nothing doing. Just say, no, I don't want, I don't want, I don't want, like this. Then every time we indulge in desire, the desire blazes more. Every time we say no to them, the desire dies down. Something when we say no to desire, it becomes stronger. We say no to temptation, we feel that temptation is troubling one more. Actually, it is not like that. Srila Prabhupada gives an example. A tiger trained in circus. Now, Prabhupada gave this example, very nice. I don't know if you saw, I saw in Calcutta Zoo, they have a tiger in the zoo. And then I saw also tiger in the circus. So when the tiger in the cage, they don't feed him. When the tiger is not fed, tiger will start more roaring and shaking the cage and trying to break off the whole cage. But they do not give him food. Then inexperienced observer will think that it is better to feed the tiger, but experienced circus trainers say, no, tiger may roar louder, but it is becoming weaker. It is roaring louder externally, but because it is not fed, it is becoming weaker. If one can tolerate that how much loud you roar, I'm not going to threat. The tiger cannot come out of the cage. It cannot do anything than going to gradually it will come down, and understanding that my roaring will not get me anything. I have to simply do what this trainer is telling me to do. And I'll get food, otherwise I will not get food. then tiger will become obedient. I saw in one circus like that. What Prabhupada is saying here is true. So after the tiger become obedient, it has to be dealt with caution. It cannot be trusted very easily. Similarly, our mind said enjoy, but we say no. Mind will say enjoy, like a big pulling out from you. Start roaring like tiger, as Prabhupada says. Come on, do it. We fold our hand. Okay, don't trouble me. So much we start becoming submissive to the mind instead of becoming submissive to the Krishna. We start becoming submissive to the mind. We don't have to become submissive to the mind. We should remember this. We should not be doing like this. Mind may be screaming louder, but if we don't fulfill, it will become weaker. It will become weaker. Initially, it will roar and roar, but if we don't fulfill its desire, it will whimper and become silent. So repeatedly and consistently, we have to say no to the desire and not intimidated by threats. Then they will become weaker. They will become weaker. So when we become seasoned, we don't expect desire to go away. Rather, we become expert in our response. Like an expert firefighter will become quick in response. Quick and expert. This is how I'll be those or extinguish this fire. Secondly, what we should do is when we are practicing spiritual life, is we don't intimidated by the threats and starve the mind. When we starve the mind, it will eventually become silence. So Krishna is saying, Shaknuti, it is possible for you, Arjuna. If it is possible for you, then you will become Sukhi, happy. Yukta means well situated. Sukhi means happy. Actually, we will be relief. We will be happy when we are detached. If we are nudging our desire, we'll be pleasing more and more. We'll never have happiness. Srila Prabhupada's purport, he says, it is the duty of transcendentalists to try strenuously. Strenuously means with great effort and determination to control the desire and anger. This is very significant uses. Try strenuously. Srila Prabhupada said, most people try strenuously to fulfill the desire. Materialists, to fulfill the desire, what they are ready to do. When a boy falls in love with a girl, he is ready to do so much that people read it in novel, watch it in movie. He's ready to even risk his life, risk his good name, risk everything for the sake of love. Actually, most of that love is lust. But the point is, people are ready, strenuously working for that. People strenuously work to fulfill their desire, but devotees strenuously work to transcend their desire. They tolerate fast and transcendent. So no doubt the spiritual life is hard work. Spiritual life is hard work. The work is inner, it is inward, not outward, but work is no doubt there. When we will do the work, the result is far better, far greater. When we fulfill our desire, the result is going to be temporary. If the desire is fulfilled, the result will not be attainable, not palatable, not retainable. If we become purified, then it is going to be ever relish, ever fresh, That is what is going to get. Therefore, a devotee learn to tolerate. A devotee become determined to tolerate. And this is what this verse is saying. Because the bhega, the word bhega, it's also in nectar of instruction. Vacho vega, manasa kruda vega, jibba vega, udara upasta vega, etan veganjo vishayate dhira, sarvam abhimam prithving shashisha. The word bhega is used in this verse to denote the similarity between one's being on the verge of acting in relation to sense pleasure, even though one has repeatedly contemplated its true nature. The rushing of a river during the rainy season. A person who can withstand the forceful internal current arising from desire for sense object and the frustration of not acquiring the sense object is paused to realize his human potential. Such a person differentiates himself from the animal species through practical exhibition of his capacity to reason meaningfully, thus solve the problems of life, opening the door to actual happiness. The body doesn't feel pleasure or pain after the soul has departed. The practitioner who can live in the body with this understanding, knowing that pain and pleasure are merely perception born of bodily identification, lives a life that begets liberation. And they are Hare Krishna people. Such person rejoices within. Ajyasparshisha bindati atmani jat sukham sabrahma yoga yuktatma sukham akshayam asnute. He finds intrinsic happiness in his own nature, as opposed to deriving happiness from external object. So we'll go to the next verse. Okay, next verse. So we learned that if we cannot change our desire, we can still change our attitude. This is very important. And we also put the question about the power, that Hiranyakashipu had a power over others, but no power to control his own senses. Thus he failed with Prahlad Maharaj. Many people hungry for power, isn't in this world? Power-hungry people usually define power in terms of external, in terms of how much they can control others, make them bend to their will. Even if they gain power, they don't become happy, which is the purpose of everything we do, including seek power. Srimad Bhagavatam in its 7th canto described the story of the demon King Hiranyakashipu, who had unrivaled power all over the universe. His power was far greater than aspiration of most people in today's world. What to speak of their achievement? And yet, despite such power, he was never satisfied. Why? Why Hiranyakashipu was not happy? He controlled the whole creation, 3 worlds. Why? Because he did not have control over his own mind and senses. He kept looking at things which he did not have control over, such as his saintly son Prahlad, who would not worship him as God. Generalizing the principle illustrated through this pastime, the Bhagavad Gita outlines the mentality of the power-hungry, who schemed and skilled the gaining power. But we are through and through deluded by ignorance. So they are always filled with anxiety and are doomed to hellish suffering. We need to seek power over ourselves. Gurudev Kripa Bindu Diya Karo Edase Tinapeksha Otihina. In that song, what do we say? তবে তো গাইব হরিনাম সুখে বল দিয়া করো নিজ মানেস প্রিয়াহীন গুরুদেব বল দিয়া we need power. We pray to Guru Krishna Vaishnava. We need power, but power for what? We need power over ourselves, power over our desire, power over our senses, control. Declare this part of Bhagavad Gita saying that we curb the power of desire, anger, become spiritually situated, can thus become satisfied. Only when we have power over ourselves can we direct our thoughts away from that which brings misery towards that which brings joy. And by this redefining our conception of power, we can wholeheartedly pursue the path of spiritual growth and relish lasting fulfillment. By our past karma, we may not be destined to acquire external power, but by practicing Bhakti Yoga, we all can attain internal power and thereby attain satisfaction. So we start practicing spiritual life, we enter into a war against the forces of illusion, which attacks primarily with the bullets of temptation. So the rising of temptation inside us is an attack. Unfortunately, if we don't understand the dynamics of the inner war, we see it as defeat. So we think, I'm so fallen as to have the desire. So what do we learn? If temptation spurs us to increase our focus on Krishna, then it becomes not the pursuit, precursor or of defeat, but promoter to victory. So this is very important. Now let's go to the next verse to finish. Text 24. Jo anta sukha antar aramas tathantar jyoti bhaja sajogi brahma nirvanam brahma bhutodi gacchati. One whose happiness is within, who is active within, who rejoices within, and is illumined mind within, is actually the perfect mystic. He is liberated in the Supreme. Ultimately, he attains the Supreme. This is very nice verse. So, purport, Srila Prabhupada given, explain, unless one is able to relish happiness from within, how can one retrieve from the external engagement meant for deriving superficial happiness? A liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experiences. He can therefore sit silently at any place, enjoy the activities of life from within. Such is liberated person no longer desire external material happiness. This state is called Brahma Bhuta, attaining which one is assured of going back to God and back to home. So let's discuss that verse little more. That verse explains that one who finds happiness within. So you have to find happiness within. How the happiness within comes? When you focus on the self identity, Atma, there is Atmananda. And then you see that Atma needs Krishna, who is also in the heart. And their relationship is also there. And based on the relationship, we serve, we are busy within, then that connection gives us happiness. That is very important. When we find happiness within, who delights within? Who is illuminated within? And such a devotee established in self-realization and attains the cessation of material existence in Brahman. So here the word Brahman Nirvan refers to cessation of material existence arising from identifying oneself with Brahman, as opposed to the Buddhist conception of Nirvan, which does not acknowledge the eternal existence of consciousness, Atman. In contrast, Buddhist conception of Nirvan could be termed Prakriti Nirvan, which involves identification with the matter through all of its transformation, as opposed to identifying with one particular stage of transformation. The term Brahman Nirvan first appeared at the end of chapter 2. Krishna elaborates on this liberated condition in this. The following 2 verses you will see that word is repeated by Krishna, Brahman Nirvan. Next verse also we'll see, if we can go there today. So at the end of this chapter, he implies that this liberated status is included within realization of himself. He states that Brahman Nirvan is subsumed within himself. The term Brahma Bhuta in this verse, where it describes the liberated status from which one enter into bhakti proper. A person who is happy within no longer takes pleasure in sense objects. His happiness is independent of them, derived from the intrinsic nature of the self. He takes pleasure in the self, Atma Rama. So let's break down the verse little more to understand. This is very important verse. Actually, all these verses are so nice for us. There is a similar verse in Bhagavad Gita, 3rd chapter, I believe, 17. Anta comes 3 times. Anta Sukha means when you feel happiness inside, you delight inward. Then what happened? Krishna is emphasizing that turn inward, look for happiness. Can you all practice few minutes? Check within yourself if you are happy within yourself. Block everything. Whatever happiness you experience in life, try to go inside. It is necessary. Because you are not outside. You are not this body. You are inside. The soul is inside. Krishna is also inside. Like Prabhupada, you see some painting Prabhupada has. He closes his eyes and chanting. Just inside. Try to connect with Krishna inside. It is necessary. If you have a service attitude, serving the holy name, the Krishna is sitting in the heart and you are also inside. You are not this body, so you're inside. Then automatically that connection will establish. Yeah, so this is very important to think. Here, Brahma Nirvan, the word Brahma Nirvan is applicable to different thought of school or school of thought has a different meaning. Like Buddhists, they think of one way. The other devotee thinks of other way. Jnani thinks of different way. Materialistic people, what they think of Brahma Nirvan, they think life ends with death. I hope devotee never thinks that. When somebody thinks that life ends with death, he is materialistic. This is Brahma Nirvana. What the Jnani thinks? Jnani thinks that life began with death. When death comes, they think, wow, my real life will begin now. I'm out of material. And the devotee, they don't think either karmi or jnani way. They think life begins whenever we start serving Krishna. Devotee thinking, when we serve Krishna, that is our life begin. When I'm not serving Krishna, that is not life. It's like a dead body. So because eternally we are going to do, we are forever serving Sri Krishna. The moment we start serving Sri Krishna, from that our real life begins. And our real life continues eternally. So life begins whenever we start serving Sri Krishna. That is Brahma Nirvana. Nirvana is often thought, as I mentioned, Buddhist world, Nirvana means cessation, termination. I studied a little bit of Buddhism before, and I spoke to Mr. Richard, who is a famous Buddhist teacher, a friend of mine. He also chants sometime. So he said the cessation of mental faculty, mental system, they have an idea of mental system. When it dissolves, that is called Nirvana. But problem is, at that time, you do not identify your own existence. You don't even know where you are. It's kind of merged idea of pradhan, just like a deep sleep. I'm sure all of you had an experience sometime in life. I'm sure many times. Deep sleep, you did not know you existed not. When you come out of deep sleep, you say, oh, I had a good sleep. But during the sleep, you didn't remember. That idea is Buddhism idea of cessation of the mental system. So Brahma means there is a higher spiritual realization. There is a life in Brahman. So Brahma Nirvana means ending of material existence and beginning of spiritual existence. That is Brahma proper understanding. Because after that, Sri Krishna is saying Brahma Bhuta Adhigacchati. In that line, if you look at it, 524. Because after that, Sri Krishna is saying Brahma Bhuta Adhigacchati. That person also attained Brahma Bhuta. That person attains spiritual existence. So this verse has come several times in Bhagavad Gita. Many, many places. Prabhupada quote this very famous verse, Brahma Bhuta Prasanatma. Same word, Brahma Bhuta coming again and again. 2.72, 5.24, 5.25, 6.15, many places. So Brahma Nirvana, simultaneous revival of several existence, spiritual existence. Buddhists say that like a candle is lighting, it's get extinguished. Similarly, our life is extinguished. This is not correct. That's not true. It enters into void, they say. But actually, even the candle is extinguished. Even the modern science, Einstein says that the energy transformed. He never says energy had a beginning, creation, or annihilation. Even the modern science, I don't know how they got it, but it is our philosophy actually, Vaishnava philosophy, Shakti Tattva. The energy never destroyed. It's just transformed one type to another types. So even Buddhist idea that candle extinguished, but a candle extinguished, maybe you don't see the candle, but the energy is still there. So at the one point of death, the time of when death comes, point of death, the consciousness is no longer in material form. But that doesn't mean consciousness gets extinguished. This is a wrong conception. I'm thinking right now. I have a feeling. I have an awareness. This consciousness, it's what soul is composed of. unit of consciousness. The soul means Atma, the spirit, means unit of consciousness, is never extinguished. Consciousness continues to exist. The consciousness is simply expressed or channelized to some other level when we express deeper level of reality. When we experience higher level of consciousness, so simultaneously revival of existence is there. In this way, Sri Krishna says that one attains spiritual existence. So I'm requesting also all of you, as Krishna has been, turn inward, go inward within you. You're not this, soul is not the body. Soul is inside. You as a soul inside. Try to go inward. By that way, attain spiritual existence. Prabhupada used to honor prasadam even alone, because he would meditate on the taste of the prasadam Krishna, and he would see Krishna, he's honoring food offering, and he's tasting it, and he sees Krishna within. It is important. I'm repeating all these verses in 5th chapter, is repeating again and again, that the real devotee means they find the happiness within. The Karmi world, they find the happiness through the body, sex, drug, whatever, ice cream or food, outside. No, devotee means inside. Happiness has to be experienced inside, not outside. So we have to practice, and more we practice, we will be in our world where Krishna is there. And Krishna is in our heart. We are in this body. So inner connection is very important. Turn inward. Inward, by that way attain spiritual existence. That is the goal of life. Now Sri Krishna will talk further how one can experience spiritual happiness. So first Prabhupada explained, a liberated person enjoys happiness by factual experience. When a devotee is happy, it is factual experience, not some sentimental imagination. Like this morning we had a kirtan, nice Mangal Arati. We had many devotees here. They all came in front of Radha Kanta, deity, beautiful deity, Prabhupada established, and Gaurnitai, and Jagannath Baladev Subhadra. And we had a beautiful Mangal Arati, and everybody was experiencing happiness. That is inner connection. That is not from outside. You can do that. All day you can sing within with the Lord for the pleasure of the Lord. So this is very true what Prabhupada said here. People wonder why Prabhupada said, why people are so happy. These Hare Krishnas are happy. Do they take some drugs? They are so bright. What makes them happy? Because that is factual experience of happiness. It is not some sentimental imagination. When the soul comes in contact with Sri Krishna through the sound of holy name, through spiritual sound, the person experiences higher happiness. Srila Prabhupada explained further. He can therefore sit silently. Prabhupada said a devotee can sit quietly in one place and enjoy the activity of life within. You can see Krishna. Krishna is always dynamic, not static in your heart. You can serve through within, through your mind, please the Lord, and that connection will make you happy. What are the activities of life? The activities of devotional service, the remembrance of Krishna. A devotee can sit any place, meditate on Sri Krishna's pastime, chant the holy name, and experience a deep fulfillment. A devotee does not need anything external, Prabhupada says. Of course, a devotee comes out of in external world, you can say, acts in external world, also because the devotee wanted to share the happiness released internally with others. The devotee is not dependent on that That's why the verse says, Jo anta sukha antar aramas. So don't have this experience all the time, but all of us have this experience. We start relishing in our happiness. Oh, this is so relishable, so wonderful. I wish I would have hold on to. So what do? These are some tips I learned. If you have a good experience in your own temple, whether it's Alachua, New Orleans, or Toronto, wherever you have some memory of a nice kirtan, nice harikatha, try to bring it within your mind again and again and again and again. Give an impression. Then slowly, actually your mind will be full of this. And then you can just sit somewhere and just think of Krishna. Think of Damodar Lila. Think of each stanza has a so deep meaning. You will be completely trapped by Krishna consciousness, happiness within. So I'll end here because we have another program starting at 5:30 CST or 6:30 East time. In other words, 13 minutes from now. And if you would like to join, you can join. I'll send the Zoom to new Zoom from New Orleans Temple, and there will be a program also, if you like. If anyone has any reflection or question, comments, otherwise I'll end here.
Prabhuji, what time did your lecture start today?
I'm sorry, because I'm in a new place just for a couple of weeks. We started at, I posted there, let me think, 1 hour difference from Florida to here. So it was about 4:15 Central Standard Time.
Oh.
Sorry, this week and next week. And but if you want to join with the Damodar Lila appreciation, we'll begin in half an hour. Another program. I'll post it in the our WhatsApp group. Are you a member of WhatsApp group?
In your temple, no, Prabhuji.
Oh, do you have a phone number? I can send it to you.
I don't have phone number right now, Prabhuji. But
Okay. Okay. Or you can later on, you can send or WhatsApp me. I'll just add you there or send you the Zoom contact.
Can you give your WhatsApp number, Prabhuji?
My WhatsApp number is 352 221 0041.
Okay, Prabhuji. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So we'll end here. Srila Prabhupada ki jai, Gaur Pramanande, Hari Hari Bol, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Vancha kalpa taruvesya kripa sindhu bhaiva chapatitanam pavane po Vaishnavi po Ananta Gari Vaishnava Binda ki jai, Srila Prabhupada.